Why did you poison this thing?
The chicken's claws dug deep into Ezinne's chest, but it wasn't the pain that made her face turn white with terror. It was the eyes. They were not the black, empty beads of a bird. They were brown, human, and burning with the pain of a murdered woman. In the dead silence of the market, the chicken opened its beak, and a gurgling, wet voice, a voice that should have been buried in the evil forest, rasped, "Why did you do this to me? Why did you poison me?" As the crowd stared in horror, Ezinne, the strong, proud new wife, fell to her knees in the dust, her hands raised in surrender. "Amara, no," she screamed, pleading to the small bird. "Stop! I beg you, stop!" Amara was happy. She was singing a small song as she stirred the pot in her yard. The fire was hot, but Amara's heart was warmer. Her husband, Okonquo, was a good man. He was strong, and he treated her like a queen. And now, after 2 long years, she was pregnant. Life was perfect. The sun was bright, the yams were growing well, and her belly was just starting to show. "My wife," Okonquo's voice boomed. He walked into the compound, wiping sweat from his forehead. He had come from the farm. He smiled when he saw her. "You are shining. Is it the soup I smell, or is it my beautiful wife?" Amara laughed. "It is the soup, my husband, your favorite, bitter leaf with smoked fish." "Ah," he sighed, sitting on the small stool. "You are the best wife in this whole village." He reached out and put his big, calloused hand on her small belly. His smile was wide. "And you, my son, you will be strong like your father." "What if it is a girl, my husband?" Amara asked, her eyes playful. "Then she will be beautiful and kind, just like her mother," he said. They did not see their neighbor, Azine, watching them from the shadows of her own doorway. Ezinne's compound was quiet, too quiet. There was no husband laughing, there was no song. Ezinne had been married for 10 years. Her husband had left her. He said she was a bitter woman. He said she was barren. Ezinne watched Amara and Okonquo. She watched them laugh. She watched him touch her belly. A black, ugly thing twisted in Ezinne's stomach. It was jealousy. It was hot and sharp like a needle. She has everything, Ezinne thought. Everything I ever wanted. A good husband, and now a child. It is not fair. Ezinne forced a smile onto her face. It was a wide, fake smile. She walked out of the shadows and into Amara's compound. "My sister, Amara," Ezinne cried out, her voice high and sweet. "I heard the laughter." Amara turned, her own smile genuine and warm. "Ezinne, good afternoon. Come and sit with us." "Ah, Okonquo, you are back from the farm," Ezinne said, bending her knee slightly. "Welcome." "Ezinne," Okonquo nodded. He did not like her very much. He always told Amara, "That woman's heart is not clean." But Amara always said, "No, my husband, she is just lonely. We must be kind." "I was just telling my husband that his favorite soup is ready," Amara said, lifting the heavy pot from the fire. "Please, Ezinne, you must eat with us." "Oh, no, my sister," Ezinne said, wringing her hands. "I am not hungry. I actually came to give you something." Ezinne reached into the pocket of her wrapper. She pulled out a small tied leaf. "What is it?" Amara asked. "It is a special herb," Ezinne said, her voice dropping to a whisper. "My grandmother taught me. It is very good for pregnant women. It makes the baby strong. It protects the child from evil eyes." She looked straight at Okonquo when she said, "evil eyes." Okonquo frowned. "Amara, you do not need strange herbs. Our child is strong." "Hush, my husband," Amara said gently. She turned to Ezinne. "Thank you, my friend. You are so kind to think of me." "It is nothing," Ezinne said, smiling her fake smile. "But you must put it in the soup now, while it is hot. And it is only for you. It is a woman's medicine. A man should not eat it." "Thank you, Ezinne," Amara said. Untying the leaf, she sprinkled the fine, dark powder into the pot. She stirred it once. The powder vanished. "Now," Ezinne said, clapping her hands, "let me serve you. A pregnant woman must not work." Before Amara could protest, Ezinne had taken the big spoon. She scooped soup into a small, clean bowl. "This one," she said, "is for the mother." She held the bowl out to Amara. "What about my husband?" Amara asked. "I will serve him next. You eat first. For the baby." Amara smiled and took the bowl. She sat on her stool and dipped her spoon into the thick, dark soup. She blew on it and took a small sip. It tasted strange, Amara said, frowning. "Yes," Azine said, her voice too loud. "That is the herb. It means it is working. It is fighting all the bad things. Eat. Eat it all." Amara trusted her. She took another spoon, and another. Okonquo watched, still frowning. "I do not like this, Amara." "I am fine, my love." Azine moved quickly. She picked up Okonquo's bowl to serve him from the main pot. As she turned, her elbow accidentally hit the bowl in Amara's hand. The bowl did not fall, but Azine used the moment to do something else. She stumbled forward and kicked Okonquo's own empty bowl, sending it flying into the dust. "Oh, see me, I am so clumsy," Azine cried. "Okonquo, your bowl is now dirty. Let me go and wash it. Amara, my sister, finish your soup before it gets cold. Do not mind me." She bustled away to the water pot, making a lot of noise. Okonquo stood up. "Let me help you, my wife." "No, Amara started. Then she stopped. A sudden, violent cramp seized her stomach. It was not like a hunger pain. It was like a knife twisting. "Ah!" she gasped. The spoon fell from her hand. "Amara, what is it?" Okonquo asked, rushing to her side. My stomach," she whispered. She looked down. Her hands were shaking. Azine returned, her eyes wide with fake concern. "Is it the baby? Is the baby coming?" "No," Amara breathed. The pain was worse now. It was in her chest. She could not breathe. It burns. "What is wrong?" Okonquo shouted. He grabbed his wife as she swayed. Amara looked up. She did not look at her husband. She looked past him. She looked right at Azine. Azine's smile was gone. She was standing by the soup pot. Her face was blank. Her eyes were cold and hard like stones. Amara's mind, foggy with pain, suddenly became clear. The herb, only for you. Her cold eyes. "Amara!" Okonquo yelled, shaking her. Amara's lips moved. She raised one shaking hand. She pointed it straight at Azine. She said, "You." That was the last word she ever said. Her eyes rolled back. A white foam gathered at the corners of her mouth. Her body went stiff, then fell limp in Okonquo's arms. For a second, there was total silence. The compound was still. Even the goats stopped chewing. Then Azine started to scream. "Help! Help me! Somebody help! My friend! Amara is dying! The evil spirits have taken her! Help!" Her wail was loud. It was a performance. But Okonquo did not hear her. He was just staring, frozen, at the face of his wife, his beautiful, happy wife, who was now dead in his arms. The screaming brought the village. People ran into Okonquo's compound, their eyes wide. They saw Amara on the ground, her body still. They saw Okonquo holding her, his face like a stone mask. And they saw Ezinne. Ezinne was the loudest of all. She was rolling in the dust, tearing at her hair. "She is gone!" Ezinne shrieked, her voice cracking. "My friend, my sister, an evil eye, a curse!" The women of the village surrounded Amara's body. They began to wail. The sound was high and terrible. It filled the air. Okonquo did not move. He just stared at Amara's peaceful, empty face. "What happened?" one of the elders, a man named Obinna, demanded. He looked at Okonquo. Okonquo could not speak. His throat was closed. Ezinne crawled forward on her knees, her face covered in dust and fake tears. "Oh, elder, it was terrible. I came to visit my friend. I brought her a protective herb for the baby, to keep her safe. I gave it to her." She choked on a sob. As soon as she ate it, she cried out. The evil was too strong. The herb tried to fight it, but the curse was too powerful. It took her. It took her and the baby. The villagers gasped. A curse? They looked around, their eyes fearful. Who would curse a good woman like Amara? Obinna, the elder, looked at Ezinne. "What herb was this?" "An old herb from my grandmother." Ezinne stammered, looking terrified. "For protection, only for protection. Oh, see what has happened. Maybe I made the spirits angry. Woe is me." She collapsed again, weeping. Okonquo heard her words. They sounded far away. He was remembering. He remembered Amara's hand. She was pointing. She was pointing right at Ezinne. He looked at Ezinne, who was crying on the ground. Did she point? He thought, his mind thick with fog. Or was it just the pain? Was she just reaching out? Ezinne's scream had been so fast. The confusion was so great. He did not know what to believe. He was broken. They had to bury Amara quickly. The elders said a woman who died pregnant could not wait for the sun to set twice. They wrapped her in a simple cloth. Okonquo carried her body to the evil forest, the place for those who died in a bad way. He did not cry. He was hollow. After the burial, the village oracle was called. The oracle was a small, dark man with eyes like polished stones. He threw his cowries on the ground. He chanted. He smoked his pipe. Ezinne watched from the back of the crowd, her heart beating fast. She had visited the oracle the night before. She had given him her last 2 goats. The oracle finally looked up. His voice was deep. A spirit of jealousy followed this woman, he declared. It came from the forest. It saw her right belly and wanted the child for itself. It struck her down. No human hand did this. The case is closed. The village sighed. Some were relieved. Some were still afraid. Azine let out a small, quiet breath. She was safe. Life moved on, but Okonquo did not. He was a ghost in his own compound. He did not go to the farm. Weeds grew over his yams. His goats bleated with hunger. He sat on his stool, staring at the patch of earth where Amara had died. He stared at the empty mat inside his hut. The hut was cold. Weeks passed, then a month. One evening, Azine came into his compound. She was carrying a bowl. "Okonquo," she said softly. Her voice was full of sadness. "You must eat." He did not look at her. "I have brought you some pepper soup," she said. She placed the bowl by his feet. "Amara was my friend. She would not want to see you like this. Please, eat." He did not move. Azine sighed. She did not leave. She picked up a broom. She began to sweep the compound. The dust and leaves had gathered everywhere. She swept for a long time. When she was done, she went to the water pot. She washed the dirty bowls piled up by the hut. Then she left, as quietly as she came. The bowl of soup was still on the ground. But the next day, she came back. "Okonquo, good evening." She brought a small portion of pounded yam. She set it down. Again, she started to work. She tidied his hut. She chased the chickens out. She mended the fence where the goats were getting out. She did this every day for a month. She never asked him for anything. She never complained. She only spoke of Amara. "I miss her too, Okonquo," she would say, her voice low. Her laugh was so bright. "I am only doing what she would have done for me." The village elders watched. They nodded to each other. "Azine is a good woman," Obinna said one evening as they drank palm wine. "Yes," another agreed. "Her husband was a fool to leave her. She has a kind heart. Look how she cares for Okonquo. His farm is dead. His compound is clean only because of her. He is a young man. He cannot live alone. A man needs a woman." Okonquo began to eat the food she left. He was too weak and too sad to cook. Her food was a small comfort. His mind was still foggy. The memory of Amara pointing was almost gone. It was just a bad dream. This Ezinne, the one who swept his yard and fed him, was not the cold woman he thought he saw. She was kind. She was gentle. She was the only person who shared his pain. After 6 months, the elders came to Okonquo. "My son," Obinna said, sitting on the stool opposite him, "it is time. You are a living man, but you are not living. Your life has stopped." Okonquo just stared at his hands. "A man must have a wife. A man needs a home. This compound is just a place of ghosts." Okonquo said nothing. "Azine is a good woman," Obinna continued. "She is patient. She is kind. She has cared for you. She is alone. You are alone. It is a good match. The village agrees. You should marry her." Okonquo looked up. His eyes were dead. "Marry," he thought of Amara. The pain was sharp. I cannot," he whispered. "You must," Obinna said, his voice firm but not unkind. "You will die here if you do not. Is this what Amara would want? For your life to end with hers? Take Azine. Let her bring life back to this compound. Let her cook at the fire. Let her sleep on the mat." The mat. Okonquo looked inside his hut. He saw the empty rolled-up mat where Amara used to sleep. It was covered in dust. His heart was empty. His stomach was empty. His life was empty. He was too tired to fight. He was too tired for anything. He nodded once, "As you say." There was no ceremony. There was no dancing. Ezinne just moved her things into his compound. That night, she unrolled Amara's mat. She lay down on it. She looked at Okonquo, who was lying on his own mat across the small hut. In the darkness, Ezinne smiled. She had the strong husband. She had the good compound. She had won. Okonquo closed his eyes. He was not married. He was just waiting. He fell into a heavy sleep, and he dreamed. He dreamed of Amara. She was not smiling. She was not sad. She was angry. She was standing by the soup pot. The fire was burning. She raised her hand, her finger stiff. She pointed. She did not point to the forest. She did not point to the sky. She pointed straight at the mat where Ezinne now slept. Okonquo woke up with a gasp. His body was covered in a cold sweat. The hut was dark. He could hear Ezinne's soft, even breathing. She was sleeping peacefully. He looked at her dark shape on Amara's mat. The fog in his mind was gone. The doubt was gone. It was replaced by a new feeling, a feeling he had not had since his wife died. It was a cold, sharp, and terrible fear. He was sleeping in the same hut as a killer. Okonquo did not sleep. He lay on his mat, his eyes wide open in the dark, listening to Ezinne's soft, even breathing. Every time she sighed in her sleep, his body went stiff. He was lying beside a monster who had his compound, a monster who was sleeping on his dead wife's mat. When the first light of morning came, Ezinne woke up. She stretched like a cat and smiled at him. "My husband," she said, her voice warm. "Did you sleep well?" Okonquo just stared at her. The smile on her face was the same smile she wore when she gave Amara the poison. He saw it all now. "I'm going to the farm," he grunted. He stood up, grabbing his machete. Ezinne's smile grew wider. "Oh, my husband, that is wonderful. Life is returning to you. Let me make you food. Let me pack you some cassava." "No," he said, his voice was sharp. "Do not make food for me." He left the hut, slamming the wooden door. Ezinne's smile faltered. She frowned. He was being difficult. But no matter. She had him. She would be patient. Okonquo did not go to the farm. He went to the evil forest. He stood by the small pile of rocks that marked where Amara was buried. "My wife," he whispered, his voice cracking. "I am a fool. I am a blind, stupid man. I let your killer into our home. I let her sleep on your mat." The forest was silent. The trees did not answer. "What do I do, Amara?" he begged, sinking to his knees. "The oracle lied. The elders are blind. Ezinne is smart. She has fooled everyone. Give me a sign. Tell me what to do. How do I show them what she did?" He sat there for hours, his heart a cold, hard stone in his chest. Finally, he stood up. He had no sign. He had no plan. He only knew one thing. He had to watch her. He had to wait. He went back to the compound. He pretended. For 2 weeks, he pretended. He ate the food Ezinne made, but every bite tasted like ash. He let her sweep the compound. He answered her questions with short words. Ezinne was happy. She thought he was just a sad man who was slowly healing. She thought she had won. Then came the Eki market day. It was the biggest market of the month. Ezinne put on her best wrapper. She tied her head tie. "My husband," she said, looking proud, "I am going to the market. I need money. I want to buy a big chicken, a fat one. We must eat. We must celebrate our new life." Okonquo's hand tightened on his machete. Celebrate. He reached into his bag and threw the coins on the ground. Ezinne's face tightened for a second, but she bent and picked them up. "Thank you, my husband." She walked out of the compound, her hips swinging. Okonquo waited. He counted to 100, then he followed her. He stayed in the shadows. He watched her from far away. The market was a sea of noise. People were shouting. Goats were bleating. The smell of dried fish and red peppers filled the air. Okonquo watched Ezinne. She was not the quiet, sad neighbor anymore. She was proud. She was laughing with the other women. She was showing them her new wrapper. She was the wife of Okonquo. His stomach twisted with hate. She finally arrived at the end of the market where the men sold live birds. Cages of chickens were piled high. "I need a chicken," Ezinne called out to the seller, a man named Ibe. "A very fat one." Ibe smiled. Ezinne, I have the best one for you." He reached into a cage and pulled out a big brown hen. It clucked quietly. "This one will make a rich soup." Ezinne nodded, satisfied. She reached for her money. Ka! A sound ripped through the market. It was not a cluck. It was a scream. A high, thin, terrible scream. "What is that?" Ezinne asked, annoyed. From a cage at the very bottom, a small white chicken was going mad. It was flapping its wings, throwing itself against the wooden bars. "Ka! Ka! Be quiet, stupid bird," Ibe shouted, kicking the cage. But the chicken was too strong. With a crack, the wood broke. The chicken shot out. The crowd laughed. "Your chicken is running away, Ibe!" But the chicken was not running away. It ran straight, its small legs pumping. It ran right at Ezinne. Ezinne yelped and tried to kick it. The white chicken did not stop. It jumped. It flew, in a way a chicken should not fly. It landed right on Ezinne's chest, its claws gripping her wrapper. "Get it off!" Ezinne screamed, dropping her money. She swatted at it, her eyes wide with shock. The chicken did not move. It was small and weak, but it hung on. and it began to peck her. It pecked her hand, the hand she used to give Amara the bull. It pecked her lips, the lips she used to tell the lies. It pecked her, again and again, in a wild, frantic rage. "Help me," Ezinne screamed, batting at it. Okonquo was moving now, pushing through the crowd. He had to see. The chicken stopped pecking. It was breathing hard, its small chest moving fast. It lifted its head, and it stared at Ezinne. Ezinne was frozen, staring back. The market went silent. The laughter died. Everyone was watching. "Look," a woman whispered. "Look at its eyes." Okonquo was close now. He saw them. The chicken's eyes were not a chicken's eyes. They were not small or black or empty. They were wide. They were brown. They were full of a deep human pain. They were Amara's eyes. "No," Ezinne whispered. Her face was turning from red to a sick pale white. "It cannot be." The chicken with Amara's eyes just stared. It held Ezinne's gaze. It did not blink. Then it did the most terrible thing. It opened its beak. It made a sound deep in its throat, a rattling, horrible sound. It sounded like a woman trying to speak, but her throat was full of poison. "You," the sound gurgled. Then the chicken turned its head. It looked past Ezinne. It looked right at Okonquo. One last time it shrieked, a long wail of sorrow and anger. Then it fell from Ezinne's chest, hit the dust, and lay still. It was dead. For a full minute, nobody moved. The silence was louder than all the market noise. Ezinne was panting, her hand shaking. Okonquo stepped forward. His voice was not a shout. It was a low, cold rumble like thunder. "Ezinne." She flinched. He pointed at the dead chicken. "What did that bird say to you?" "Nothing," Ezinne cried, her voice too high. "It was a mad chicken, a crazy bird. It is dead." "It looked at you," Okonquo said, his eyes scanning the crowd. "You all saw it. It looked at her. It knew her." "Okonquo, you are mad with grief," Ezinne said, trying to smile. "It is just a chicken." "No," an old woman from the crowd said. She was the oldest woman in the village. "That was no chicken. That was a spirit. That was an agbeme," the crowd murmured. "An avenging spirit." Okonquo walked until he was standing right in front of Ezinne. She had to look up at him. "My wife pointed at you before she died," he said, his voice loud for all to hear. Ezinne gasped. "No, that is not true. She was in pain." "He pointed," Okonquo roared. "And the oracle, paid with your goats, said it was a spirit. He was right. The spirit has returned." He bent down. He picked up the dead white chicken. He held it up. "Amara!" he shouted to the sky. "Is this your killer?" As if in answer, a sudden, strong wind swept through the market, kicking up dust. It circled Ezinne, blowing her wrapper and her head tie, but it did not touch anyone else. As screaming, Ezinne fell to her knees. "It wasn't me! I did not mean to! The devil made me do it! I was jealous! I wanted you! I wanted the baby!" She was babbling. She was confessing. The entire market was staring. Okonquo looked down at the woman on the ground. His face was a mask of stone. "Take her," he said to the crowd. Ezinne had been named. The case was now closed for good.